According to the 2008 report of the United Nations Programme on HIV/AIDS, 3.1% of people between the ages of 15 and 49 were living with HIV/AIDS as at 2007. That prevalence rate led to the formation of the National Council on AIDS in 2007 to mobilize states' resources against the ravaging effects of the HIV pandemic. 10 years after, members of the National Council on AIDS at this meeting say the current funding mechanism, with government contributing less than 30% of total funding, is no longer sustainable.
The current HIV funding in Nigeria is not sustainable. It is driven primarily by international donors. We need to take our destiny in our hands.
The national coordinator of the network of people living with HIV/AIDS appeals to the council to consider a national trust fund for HIV/AIDS intervention.
One way forward for us to own our destiny and take charge is for us to be able to have a national AIDS trust fund that can be able to take charge of domestic resources. We need not wait for statutory allocation every year.
However, a member of the House Committee on AIDS, Tuberculosis and Malaria called for transparency in the administration of funds and drugs for people living with HIV/AIDS.
Sometimes people go to the clinics, they cannot access these drugs. But then you can pay money from outside and you get these drugs. That is corruption. So in as much as we are looking at system strengthening at this level, we must also make sure that we get to the end users and make sure that these drugs are getting to them, especially because the finance is not going to be there as it used to be.
There are currently about 3.4 million people living with HIV/AIDS in Nigeria, with an annual death rate of 180,000. Experts say the situation could get worse if a sustainable financing option is not devised in the face of dwindling donor funding.